Hello and welcome to Men in the Den. My name's Eric and it's Friday. It's actually Friday. I'm doing this live. I didn't have an opportunity to record my video in advance, and I've only seen the questions about once. So I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible so as to not waste anyone's time. But if you have questions and you're watching live, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer them as we go through. So let's get started. We have in our question set today a question from Dan McDonald. And his question is, funny things you have ever woken up to your partner doing. So we have a problem, really, because I suffer from night terrors, and when am woken up in the middle of the night, freak out, screaming and shouting. And so one of the things that my husband has taken to do to try to alleviate this problem is when he comes to the bedroom while I am asleep, he says, "Grr, I'm a monster." And I look over and I respond, "Grr, I'm a monster too." And then I go back to sleep and there's no trauma. I don't know how this works or why this works. This is just one of those things that we have worked out, that he has seemed to have figured out that works. And hey, as long as I'm not screaming and kicking and punching, right? Are you coming over to add into this?
So, if you ever spend the night with this man and you're coming to bed or get up for a drink of water or something, make sure when you come back and he opens his eyes and gasps, you say, "Grr, I'm a monster." You get the cutest response.
Apparently, monsters are totally fine in my bed. All right, let's see who's next. We have next Denver, who asks, "What is your favorite episode of Friends?" So I didn't watch a ton of Friends. I watched a little bit of it, and mostly it was in reruns on syndication. But the one episode that has always stuck with me was the one where they get the cheesecake, right? So like someone's delivering cheesecake and it's being delivered to the wrong floor, and Rachel picks it up and she's like, "Hey, free cheesecake," and she eats it and freaks out because it's the best cheesecake she's ever had. And then Chandler next door accidentally picks up the cheesecake that came to replace the one that was stolen. And then they get into a fight because like their cheesecakes keep being delivered and never getting to the right apartment. And eventually they have a fight and they throw the cheesecake up in the air and it lands on the floor and they eat it off the floor. That was like that was something I would totally fucking do in that moment. But oh my god, in the nasty fucking hallway of your New York City apartment complex, eating a cheesecake off the floor is just like so beyond. But they had to survive and save it because it was just that good. So yes, find the cheesecake episode. I don't know which one it is. Maybe it's the one with the cheesecake. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Let's get to one of the uh, deeper questions. So Bartolome asks, "Do you have any parental feelings? Can you imagine raising any children?"
No.
No. No. No, I do not at all. My husband is sitting here in the background and he's like, "No, just say no." It's the easiest thing to do.
I have asked this on several occasions, and he says no and louder each time I ask. So.
It's true. I want no kids. I was a children's librarian for a couple of years, and I did story time for a very long time. And I enjoy children in the minimal, but no, not to raise, not to have, not to waste my time and money on for another 18 years. Thank you, Bartolome. John Dickinson asks, "What was the first concert that you went to?" I'm glad you asked that, John. My first concert that I ever went to, apart from my dad. Okay, so I'm going to say that first. My father was in a classic rock cover band in the 1980s. They did some original stuff. They won a songwriting contest once, and they got to be on stage with Roy Rogers. It was a whole big deal. But if we're talking like big, huge, popular bands, the first concert I ever actually went to was Jimmy Buffett. I went in high school with my girlfriend at the time, and she was not enjoying herself. There were way too many people who were drunk and stoned and a mess. And some guy spilled margaritas all over her back, and she was very unhappy with this experience. I, too, was not pleased with this experience, but it was my first show that I saw basically by myself with my girlfriend on my own, you know, to go out into the world and see. So Jimmy Buffett in Margaritaville, in Cincinnati, which is basically the capital of Margaritaville for some reason. So let's see. John Dickinson also asked, what is the 10th picture on your mobile phone? Oh, goodness, it could be bad. Let's see if it's worthy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, okay. So actually, this one is really fucking cool. Let me see if I'm actually getting this one in very well. So this is a piece of artwork that I had the opportunity to photograph at Artomatic, which is a local art exhibit of amateur artists in the DC metro region. And this was a full-blown painting of the King of Diamonds as Biggie. It was so fucking cool. And then there's also this King of Spades that's Jay-Z as well. So I thought that these were really awesome, and I had to take a picture of these because they were just too fucking cool. So yeah, no sexy pictures for you, John Dickinson, unless you ask nicely. So let's see. What else is there? Jack Edwards asks, Eric, do you have any LGBT fiction, nonfiction books to recommend? I don't exactly. I have not really kept up with LGBT books. I read mostly nonfiction stuff, and I tend to keep up with queer news is what I keep up with, but queer literature, not as much. The one thing that I will say is that I would probably point you to something that's a little slightly obscure, which is a fantasy novel series, trilogy written by Mercedes Lackey. And I do not know what the trilogy arc series is called, but each title was Magic's Pawn, Magic's Promise, Magic's Price. It is about a young man discovering that he is a sorcerer and falling in love with another man. And these two things are kind of eerily intertwined, and his lover dies in one of the books, and it's becomes a whole big emotional quest. And then there's something that happens in the third book that's really unusual and interesting. This is a very good series. It's definitely pulpy, like romance, sci-fi, fantasy trash, but it's interesting, a little preachy, but it's good. I liked it. So if you like fantasy novels and you like queer shit, check out Mercedes Lackey's Magic's Promise series. Let's see what else is in here. Okay, there was a question that I saw earlier that I really liked. Sorry for the delay, people. There was a question about PrEP and that was in here. Oh, you know what it is? It's down in this lower half because there's a weird break in the questions. Okay, so Clinton asks, with people taking PrEP to protect from the transmission of HIV, do you think that people will be less safe and that there will be an explosion of new sexually transmitted diseases? So this is a really, really great question. And I actually read an article just yesterday about this. And the title of the piece, let me pull it up real quick, was on Slate, and it was called, Do Some Gay Men on PrEP Stop Using Condoms, and Does That Matter? So this is a piece by a doctor, Dr. Daniel Summers. And Dr. Summers' position is basically that it's kind of difficult to tell. So when people start taking PrEP, oftentimes it's because they recognize that they are in a high-risk category for the potential contraction of HIV. Oftentimes these are gay people and other people in other high-risk categories, African-American women often as well, are high PrEP users. But what Dr. Summers' position is in that piece is that it's difficult to tell if we're seeing the diseases, because there is kind of a little bit of data coming out of this information right now that sexually transmitted diseases seem to be on the rise, and that among PrEP case men, that there is more diagnoses are coming through. But the question is are these cases being diagnosed more because people are having more unprotected sex, or are these cases coming through that you wouldn't necessarily have seen if someone were not getting quarterly checkups because they're on PrEP? So it's possible that this is the same, risk pool for the contraction of sexually transmitted diseases, but we're seeing it more frequently because people are being tested more frequently. So it's possible that PrEP may or may not lead to the risk of other sexually transmitted diseases, especially if you stop using condoms. But it's unclear if those people who are not using condoms but are on PrEP are contracting more diseases, or already were in the pool but are being diagnosed more and catching them before they become problematic. So yeah, I think that there's enough evidence out there to say that yes, there's something, but it's inconclusive as to what. So that's a great question. Thank you for that, Quentin. Let's see what else is in our list before I wrap this up. Lionel asks, have any of you here on Men of the Den met anyone in person through online chat here on this page and ended up in disappointment? Well, that's a very sad question. The answer is no. For me, I've met several people from the channels, from you, the friends of the Den. I love meeting you. I met some folks at Tidal Wave. When I was at VidCon in Anaheim, I got to meet Big Bear Tony and you, Lionel Frank, as well. And I had a great time with everybody. And it's always fun to meet people who are on the channel. It's weird when it's people on Growler saying that they know you from Men of the Den and, oh my gosh, you're famous. No, I'm not very famous, but I appreciate that you think I am. But no, I have a great time hanging out with the friends of the Den. So if you see me around, and it's possible that I'll be at Tidal Wave again this year, if you see me around, please come say hi, give me a hug, talk to me about the show, and yeah, just be cool, man. Have fun. So let's see if there's one last question to wrap this out. If you were an astronaut, oh, this is Drew. If you were an astronaut and could pick a planet to explore or travel to, which one and why? I have really been fascinated with Mars, not just because of The Martian, but because it's right there, right? And I had like a vision idea, like when I was once on a health kick, that I could train myself up to be in that Mars One program and be a colonist librarian on Mars. And I just thought that would be super fucking cool. And I would love to do that. I am still not in any kind of condition to be space traveling. But if the opportunity presents itself to really make my way to the stars, which I would love to do, SpaceX, please send me away. Please, please send me away, SpaceX. I'm dying for this. I would love to go to Mars. I would absolutely love to go to Mars. I would love to be one of those intrepid people colonizing a planet, doing research and helping people do their thing. So yes, please send me to Mars. So that's about all the time I'm going to drop on this video. I appreciate all the questions that you gave us. And if you have further questions, please drop them in the crotch. I'm going to be watching for questions tomorrow. Well, tomorrow. It's today. It's Friday, 12:33 a.m. Friday morning. So if you have questions, please drop them in the crotch. If you like this show, please subscribe to our channel. You can follow us here on YouTube. Just push that subscribe button. If you want to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, we're on all of those things too. And don't forget, you can buy Men of the Den t-shirts from Dr. Phil at redbubble.com. And I will see you all next Friday. Cheers.